If you can implement these 7 strategies, then you are going to be off to the races to having your Etsy store start making you a consistent side income, or even being able to replace your full-time income in the future. I'm going to take the last almost 5 years of experience that I have selling print-on-demand items on Etsy and turn it into a 7-part framework of exactly what I would do to start an Etsy print-on-demand business today if I were to start over completely from scratch. I call this framework the POD Roadmap, and that's exactly what my course is called as well, that I've taught over 1,300 print-on-demand students how to start and scale their own Etsy businesses. And I'm not the only one who's had success with this method. I have 2 students, Shauna and Andreas, who have each sold over $1 million to date in their Etsy stores, and they each actually have their own YouTube channels now. So I'll even link them down in the description if you want to check out some of my students and what they're up to now. And other students like POD Girly, who was just in the beginning of 2025 able to quit her full-time job with her print-on-demand business, and many others who've been able to sell 6 figures on Etsy or even just start making a consistent side income. And if you somehow are watching this video without knowing what print-on-demand is a process where you create designs for products to sell in your Etsy store, but that design doesn't actually get printed onto the item until it gets an order, at which point your print provider, like Printify, which is who I use, actually prints the item, ships it to your customer, and even updates the tracking information for you. So all you have to do is do the research, make the designs, post them for sale, and follow this 7-part framework. Now that you're familiar with what print-on-demand is, let's start with strategy number 1, which is choose one product. But also make sure you stay all the way until the end, because I'll also be sharing the biggest mistake that I see brand new Etsy sellers make and how to avoid it. So for this strategy, if I was starting over from scratch today, I would choose one product to sell until I sold my first $10,000 in revenue on Etsy. Ideally, this would be a proven to sell product on Printify. Luckily, there is a really easy way to tell what sells well for print-on-demand sellers on Etsy, and that is going to Printify's website, which I do have a link for them down in the description, that if you use it to make your account, it does help support my channel and the videos that I make like these for you. And while you're down there, you might as well, subscribe. But once you go onto Printify's website, you're going to go to their catalog and look at their bestseller list. You can try and go look for a more obscure product that maybe no one's selling, but that might also mean that there's not any demand from buyers for that product. Whereas the best-selling products have proof that customers are searching for these and buying them every single day. So that's the number 1, is choose a proven to sell product. The reason being, when I first started selling on Etsy, I tried selling tons of different products in my store. Shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, mugs, candles, shower curtains, but the amount of time it takes to really learn how to be successful at each of those products is actually a lot more than you think. You have to learn how to make the mock-ups for it, learn how to price it, write a description, learn how to make designs for those products. And even when you learn how to make designs, those might not be the types of designs that actually sell on that product. And so you have to do a lot of trial and error, make a lot of different designs for it until you find what works for you. And if you're trying to get to that point with 6 different products, it would take you longer than if you just narrowed your focus, focused on one product type, and got really good at that one. So again, strategy number 1 is to choose one product, really learn it, and post in it until you sell your first $10,000 in revenue. I think that's kind of a good goalpost to kind of be aiming for with your business, is 10,000 sales, and then you can try out posting some of those designs on other products. Now, there is one caveat, because my favorite product that I would really recommend selling, and exactly what I would start over with if I started a new store today, would be shirts and sweatshirts. So I will give the caveat that apparel in general, I think it's fine. If you're making one design that could sell on either item, then it's not going to be as much of a time suck, because it's the same research time. So I would personally sell the Comfort Colors 1717 shirt and the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt and post all of the designs that I make on both of those products. Strategy number 2 would be have a listing goal. If I was starting over today, I would have a goal of getting 1,000 items posted in my store, but not just a goal, I would have a plan to go with it. The first part of that listing plan is really simple. I would pick when I'm going to list, at exactly which time, and exactly exactly at what place. I read a book that really changed my thinking on all of this, which is the Atomic Habits book. It's a really great one if you haven't picked it up just yet, but he really teaches in that book that if you want to actually follow through on your goals and achieve your dreams, you have to be intentional about when you're going to work towards actually achieving those goals. So don't just say, I'm going to make 1,000 listings this year. Say, I'm going to make 25 listings every single week. I'm going to do it on this day, at this time, at this place, and you'll be so much more likely to actually make progress towards your goals every single week. Most of us don't have a hard time showing up for work for our boss, not being late, coming in every day that we're supposed to, and doing the work that we're supposed to. But when it comes to actually holding ourselves accountable for something that we want, that's when it can be a lot easier to put it on the back burner because no one is there holding you accountable. So remember to hold yourself accountable and choose when you're going to do this. I see a lot of new sellers post 30 to 40 things in their store because the first 30 to 40 things that you post in your store will take you a long time. There is so much to learn when you first get started with print on demand. It feels like you put in so much work and you should be getting more back than you are. So that's when a lot of sellers actually quit and give up. So please don't have the expectation that you can make 30 or 40 listings and see a ton of success in your store. It does take a lot more hard work and determination than that to achieve real success with a print-on-demand business. The second part of that plan is refining your listing process. It's really important that you don't overthink every single listing you put up. If you're constantly overthinking which colors you should offer it on, if you should buy new mock-ups because a holiday is coming up, or if your pricing's maybe too high so you should test doing something else, if you're overthinking it, then it's going to take you way too long to get new designs listed in your store. And when items actually get listed in your store is the only time that you actually make money with print on demand. So you do need to lessen the amount of time it takes for you to actually, from the time you finish making your design, get it listed in your store. Now I have two resources for you to help make this process really fast. The first, I'll link a video down in the description on how to create 50 Etsy listings in one day using a couple hacks to make the process so much faster. The second thing is my new mockup automation software that actually creates all of the mockups for you. If you're making 25 listings worth of mockups every single week, that's 250 mockup photos that you're potentially having to edit and put your designs on those mockup photos to pretend that they're already made. But if you could automate this process with Simply Listed, it could actually only take a few seconds to make all of those mockups for you, giving you so much time back to actually do more research, get more designs up in your store, and reach those listing goals. So I will put a 7-day free trial for Simply Listed down in the description. And the third part of that plan of getting 1,000 listings up in your store is to double down on what's working. This is something that I did not do when I first got started selling on Etsy, and I learned the hard way that if you don't double down on what's working and make more designs for the listings that sell for you, someone else will. I'll never forget my first fall getting a bestseller on a fall sweatshirt, and I had one listing that was a bestseller, and then I found another store that made a really similar design to me, and they had it posted 3 different times on a shirt, a sweatshirt, and another different color sweatshirt, and they actually had 3 bestsellers when I only had 1. So I knew they were getting more sales than me. So I will never let that happen again, and I don't want it to happen to you. So you're going to double down on what works. What does that even mean? What works for you in the beginning might be what is getting the most favorites. If you're not getting sales yet, what's getting the most views? What's getting the most favorites? That means you're on to something, but maybe it just hasn't started selling just yet. So make more designs for the niches that sell for you. If there's a particular design style that sells for you, add that design style to other niches. So let's say you make a really pretty font with florals or cursives, and that sells really well, say in the nurse niche. Go make that exact same looking design, but for teachers. Strategy number 3 is to do your research. I would spend the first week of my new store finding 10 Etsy stores who have found success selling the item that I want to sell. There's going to be so much to learn from these stores on what types of niches sell well on that product. So maybe that product, a lot of designs for professions like teachers and nurses sell well. Maybe that type of product, designs for people with hobbies sell really well. If you sell something like mugs, maybe it's a lot of gift products, like gifts for a coworker, gift for a boyfriend, gift for a dad. It really is good to understand what are their top selling items and why, and then that can help you much better understand what types of products to sell in your own store. You can also research how these stores are pricing their items, what types of photos are they using? Are they using flat lay mock-ups? Are they using model mock-ups? What color shirt, for example, are they using in the main image photo? These are all really important things that you can learn the easy way by looking at what's already working for other sellers and then taking that information to your own listings. So many new stores have found success, so why not you? You just have to study what's working for them to better understand how you can grow your business. If you've never started a business before in your life, don't feel bad about the fact that you've no idea what you're doing. That's super normal, and you can do this. Strategy number 4 is sell what's selling now. So super simple. Go to Etsy, see what people are buying literally today, and post items in those niches or for those products right now. And then 25% of the time, I would be making listings for niches that are going to be selling 8 to 12 weeks from now. So that would be things like holidays, appreciation days, and seasons. And if you're not sure what types of holidays even sell for print-on-demand items, especially if you're not here in the United States and know what's kind of normal for us holidays and appreciation days wise, then I do have a print-on-demand niche calendar available in the description that you can purchase that has 40 plus niches to design for and exactly when to be listing for them all year, so it can help take a little bit of the guesswork out. But if you're wondering, how do I know what's selling on Etsy literally today? Well, then let's go over to Etsy together and I will show you. So coming over here to Etsy, you type in whatever general term that you are going to be selling. So in this case, I typed in shirt. If you're selling mugs or sweatshirts or some other type of item, type that here into the search bar, because at first you don't know what's selling. So let's do a little bit of research. The first thing you can do is just manually scroll through and look to see items that have a bestseller badge, but as you can see, none are coming up just yet. So there is a really nice free hack on how you can search bestsellers on Etsy. You can come to this all filters button, and there actually used to be a bestseller filter, but they took it away, but we can still access it. So if you click the star seller box right here and click search items, last thing you have to do is come up to the URL here at the top where it has the website, delete the word star and write the word best. And now you'll see there's actually a bestseller badge that it is searched for. And so when you scroll through here, I do recommend not clicking on the advertisements. If you see this says ad by Etsy seller, don't click those. It's just a really nice common courtesy not to click other sellers' advertisements, and it may not be an actual bestseller. So taking a look at the other types of bestsellers, they may not even have the bestseller badge. Etsy's always testing things, but once you actually open the listing, you can see this one has a bestseller badge and 5 people purchased it in the last 24 hours. So this tells you that whatever niche this is, people are currently searching for it and purchasing it today on products like these. So that's the first way that you can search for this. The other free way that I like to find out what's selling on Etsy is by coming over here to this most relevant button on the right and clicking newest. So this is going to show you what either was most recently listed to Etsy or what actually most recently sold. So this can be a little bit more of a treasure hunt, but this is one of the tactics that I use to build my trend report every month for my print-on-demand roadmap community, where I make an hour-long video or more on what's selling well in Etsy this month. This is one of the ways that I find a lot of those listings is just sorting my most recent and then opening up these listings and seeing, okay, this one's in 20 plus carts right now and it's only 5 months old, has sold 26 times. If you keep scrolling down, they're not all going to be winners, but when you go through here and click on different ones, you'll eventually find some that have sold really well today. Like we'll try another one. This one says it's sold 2 times in the last 24 hours and is sold 122 times in 8 months. Now, that information there at the top is actually from Everbee, which is a really great keyword research tool for Etsy. Now, you don't have to have Everbee, but it can save you a ton of time when you're researching. So like I said, I showed you those first 2 ways that are the free ways, but let me show you now if you're interested in Everbee, and I do have 2 different specials to save you money, either a buy one, get one free month or a big discount off the year, and I'll link both of those down in the description if you want either of those. But this is how Everbee works. It's a built-in Chrome extension, and when you're on something like Shirt, you can come over here on the side and it'll be there kind of popping up, and you can click Product Analytics. Now, this is where the real magic happens with Everbee because they have these filtering buttons. So the kind of newbie way to do it is just sort by who has the most sales on this page. Now, you can see this listing right here has sold 9,000 times. This shirt has sold 1,500 times. This one sold 1,500 times. But the real magic is in the filtering options that Everbee has. So what I like to do is click the Everbee database. So right now it's only searching 64 listings on that page. But if you click this button up here and have it search all of Etsy, that's a good start. But we can narrow things down. So I can click this filter button over here on the right, and you can sort first by listing type. So I like to sort by only physical items since that's what we're searching for. There's a lot of digital items for sale. But then we can even sort further. We can say, I want only stores that are less than 24 months old. Or we can sort by listings that are only 3 months old. Now, I kind of custom made my filters. You can customize which ones are where. And then if we sort by which listings have the most sales, you can see that this listing right here is 1 month old. The store is only 19 months old, and it has sold 1,700 times. Now, that's the kind of item that I'm talking about posting for today in your store, because that has probably sold so many times. So I'm going to just click on it. We'll see how many times it's sold in the last 24 hours. So this one has sold 3 times in the last 24 hours. But again, it's only 1 month old and has sold 1,700 times. These are the kind of listings that you want to be posting in your store literally today. Now, when I find a winning listing like this, I like to make 8 to 15 different versions of that design because we don't want to copy them. If you just copy them, you'll end up just being a cheap knockoff. And why would someone buy a cheap knockoff of that design if 1,700 people have already purchased the other one? It probably already has a bunch of reviews. It definitely has a bestseller badge. Don't try and compete by copying them. You want to add value, which we'll talk about in the next strategy. But the way that I like to do it is make 8 to 15 different designs for every best-selling niche that I design for. That way, I'm really giving it my best shot. I'm trying to make different types of designs, different types of mock-ups maybe, and really putting a lot out there in front of the people who are purchasing today to find out what sticks. So like I said in the last strategy, it's really important not to copy the bestseller. That is not a recipe for success. You need to learn how to add your own value and even be a trend setter, not just a trend follower. But to really understand how to be a trend setter, you do have to first understand the current trends on Etsy. Now, this can be a hard one to learn because if you're not someone who actually shops on Etsy and purchases the type of item that you're selling right now, then your opinion might not actually really matter that much. And that can be really hard. You're not designing for yourself. You need to understand what people that shop on Etsy actually want to buy. So this is going to be a lot of research. I really recommend spending maybe 10 minutes every single day that you work on your business, just looking through the bestsellers and trying to be a pattern researcher. I want you to pretend like you don't speak English. That's something my friend Alina said in her interview of how she sold $250,000 in, I think it was 7 months. She made $70K profit. I'll link her interview down below without any advertisements, I might remind you. And she said, just pretend like you don't speak English and you don't read English and just look at the actual designs. Pay attention to how they're laid out. Is all of the text pushed to the left? Is there text curved across the top with a graphic in the middle and text on the bottom, all of it's one color? Like, learn what it looks like to have a best-selling design on that type of item. Until you learn that, you're obviously not going to be able to make bestsellers. So there are proven design styles, proven layouts, and proven colors on Etsy and what sells on every different type of product. And you can then use your own mind to combine 2 or 3 of those different types of elements in a new way to add value. Some of the easiest ways to add value, though, are by making it personalized. So adding a custom name or a custom date to a certain type of design is a huge way to add value. It's one of the biggest reasons that Etsy shoppers come to Etsy instead of going to Walmart or Amazon, is they want a really personalized gift that they can give to someone. But if you don't have tons of time to list all these items and then also personalize these designs every day, there are tools like Hello Custom that will actually automate the designs for you. Even like putting hearts in between the names on a sleeve or turn this date into Roman numerals. Hello Custom can automate so much of that process so that you can make more complex, cool, personalized designs without having to actually put that work in every day. You would just have to go approve the designs once a day. So I do have a free trial for Hello Custom down below, and they've got a great lifetime deal for their software. So check that out if you're interested in going that route. But personalization isn't the only other way to add value. One of my other favorite ways is to take a design that's selling really well and turn it into group matching shirts. So whether that is turning it into couples matching shirts, family matching shirts, combining a niche that's really popular, maybe a holiday, with cruise shirts. There's a million different ways that you can add value, but you'll never learn them all unless you actually do the research. So like I said, spending 10 minutes a day looking through Etsy bestsellers and looking at what types of fonts they're using, what colors, how they're adding value to their designs, and that will help you so much. Strategy number 6 is overall, you need to have a bias towards action. So first, you need to lessen the amount of time between checking out print on demand and learning about it and actually opening your own print on demand store. I'm talking to you. You need to lessen the amount of time from deciding to make listings and actually choosing a niche to design for. Lessen the amount of time between choosing that niche and actually making the design, and then making that design and getting it listed in your store. You need to make sure that every day you're asking yourself, is this what's going to help me win? Which just stands for what's important now. There's 100 different things that you could be doing in a print-on-demand business at any given moment, but no one is there to hold you accountable but yourself. So anytime you are spending an hour watching a bunch of different print-on-demand YouTube videos, great. I'd love for you to watch all my videos, but you don't need to do that every single day or all the time. You need to be taking action in your business or it's never going to work. And so I want you to be prioritizing what actually makes you money, which is finding niches that are selling today. Make 8 to 15 designs for those niches. Get them posted in your store as quickly as possible. Those are the things that matter. There's something called the Pareto principle, or it's also called the 80-20 rule, which really means that about 20% of your outputs are going to make you 80% of your profit. And so that is super true with the print-on-demand business. Even today, knowing everything that I know, every listing I make isn't my next bestseller, and that's really important for you to know as well. I don't want you to dwell on the listings that don't sell well, on the listings that get favorites but never get purchased. I don't want you to dwell on the listing that you really liked, that you thought was going to do great but ended up not selling. I want you focusing on the 20% that did sell and making more of what's working. And so if you can have that kind of idea in your mind and not be so emotionally attached to particular issues and make sure that you're always taking action every single day in your business, that will bring you so much closer to success in your store. And strategy number 7 is to go general and then niche down. So what this means is when you're first getting started selling on Etsy, I want you to choose the one product, but I want you to try lots of different niches. So just figure out what sells on Etsy in general by using my calendar, by looking at the best sellers, using Everbee, any of the strategies I showed you today. Figure out what's selling on Etsy right now and try selling in those. Make 8 to 15 different designs for all these different niches that you find that are selling well today on Etsy. But then whatever ends up getting the most favor favorites, getting the most sales, I want you to go back to the earlier strategy where I told you to double down on what's working. So make more designs for that niche. That's what I mean by go general, then niche down. Eventually, you're going to kind of niche down and sell probably 3 to 4 different niches mainly in your store. So first, you're going to sell lots of different niches. If you're not familiar with what a niche is just the type of people who would be buying it. So, like the mom niche, the fishing niche, the crocheting niche, there's a million different niches, but that's just what people call it. So you'll sell a bunch of different niches at first, but whatever sells the most for you, eventually you'll make more of those, make more of those, make more of those, and you'll probably end up with 3 to 4 niches that sell the best for you. The reason why I say this is because no one niche sells super well all year round. So if you want a pretty consistent income, then I would recommend selling a bunch of items in 3 to 4 really big niches. You can niche down and sell more specific versions of that niche. So like, let's say you sell mom shirts. You could sell specific grandma shirts. You could sell soccer mom shirts. You could sell moms that love their nurse daughter type items, right? There's a million ways you can go within the mom niche. Mom of a 2025 graduate, right? There's a bunch of different ways you can go with that niche. So you could make hundreds and hundreds of designs for a single niche, cover lots of different topics. So that's what I want you to do is go general, then niche down. You'll still be selling some of those other ones that are selling really well today. Like if you found that listing that sold 1,700 times in its first month, I'd still recommend posting for that if you're a year into it and you've got your 3 to 4 niches. That's really been my strategy in my own store that's worked really well for me. My main niches, just to give you an idea of what that looks like, have been holidays, professions, and bachelorettes. Those are my 3 biggest niches I've ever sold in. The 4th, I'd say, probably really fits in the holiday category, but that would be like Christmas ornaments. So it's still really holidays. And those categories are just huge. If you want to sell in any of those, 10 out of 10 definitely would recommend. For those of you that are still here, I said I would share the biggest mistake that I see new Etsy sellers making. And that is that I see a lot of Etsy sellers not treating Etsy like the business that it is. If you do your Etsy research right in the beginning and really learn from those stores who have been recently successful and implement some of those same strategies in your own store, then you can much more quickly understand that there is a formula to success on Etsy. But when you pair this with the value-add advice that I gave earlier, then you can have a deadly combination that will help you find faster success on Etsy. But once you've figured out your strategy, you're also going to find that it's probably going to take you a lot of time to actually implement those strategies and build up your Etsy and print-on-demand business, especially if it's your first year scaling your business. Because most of you aren't going to be able to do this full-time. You still have full-time jobs and other responsibilities, so you'll probably only have 5 to 10 hours a week to really dedicate to building your print-on-demand business. But what I've learned over the last 4 years is that if I actually built systems that I could follow to stop wasting time and actually focus on the things that moved the needle in my business, then I really could get it all done. Because again, we want to treat this like a business. You have to figure out what works and then make it repeatable. That way you can put it on autopilot. Now, if you've gotten to the end of this video and you're interested in building systems that will help you save time and make building your print-on-demand business easier, then that's exactly what my course, the POD Roadmap, is for. I built systems and strategies that have helped me grow my own print-on-demand business, but they haven't just worked for me. Like I mentioned before, I've got my students Shauna and Andreas who have been able to sell over $1 million on Etsy, and then other students like POD Girly, Vanessa, and Christine, who've all sold 6 figures in their business as well, and so many others who've made their first sale, their first 100, or even their first 1,000 sales, all because they made all of their decisions based on research and not just trying different things and hoping that it worked. And just because I'm so confident that you love my course, the private community, the monthly trend reports, and monthly live calls that you get, that if you join and you're not 100% satisfied in the first 7 days, then I will give you a full refund. Anyway, if you want more information, I will link my website, CassieJohnson.com, below in the description, or you can just go to CassieJohnson.com. But please know that is the only website that my course will ever be for sale on. And if you're brand new to selling on Etsy, then I'm going to link a video that I think you should watch next, all about how to avoid scammers who target brand new Etsy sellers.